Okay, hi everyone. So we'll do a quick sync. I just want to go over the current work. I'll show you what I created to track it also. So um, we'll take a look at that just for a second. Here's the doc link. I see maybe a few of you in that. Let me share my screen. Okay. So I updated the last meeting quickly, not going into all the details of the comments, just that we went over that. And since that, we managed, I think, to close all the comments and merge the PR today. So that's great. And I'm really glad now. Pretty soon, I hope when we have some eviction working, we can start, demonstrating that, seeing that, and work in practice, I guess. Okay. So we have a few new PRs. So we have that. Oh, so that's the closed one. Sorry, right. Let me go through the new PRs. So first thing I wanted to notice, I created a project which is, just a Trello board basically for this namespace bucket feature. And so you can, if you take a look at that, it's sort of automated assignment to boards and things, so you can move things over. I just need to go through the PRs or issues and then tag them for the project. So you can do that. I think you can do that as well. I'm not sure, I didn't check, but let me know if you want to do it and can't. But I would probably mark it as well. And that mark here, and then you say, which line it belongs to. You can update through here as well. So that's, I think it's good for just for tracking the open things like what we have currently open. So that's that. So I think we have two, but now the new ones are not here yet. So let's check that out. Right, so it's this one, which is updated. And this one is new. Oh, so these two new. Yeah. Okay, so Paul, do you want to say a word or two about this PR?
The one you just here, which one? Okay. So this PR is regarding supporting part number, query parameter, and preconditions in the get object procedure. So preconditions is like the if match, if non-match, modify things, unmodify things. Yeah. So this is specifically for get object procedure. Different scenarios. So part number. So if some of you are not familiar with part number, that's specifically related to the multi-part objects. So once multi-part objects is completed, you can, at least for calls and Amazon, IBM calls and Amazon support part number. So you can say a part number equal to 2, 3. They're going to return you the part uploaded as before. Okay. So that's just for multi-part uploaded object.
Does that work in AWS?
I haven't tried because I don't have an AWS account. I tried. It's in the AWS API. It should support it. I tried on calls. It supports. Yeah.
So you mean get object with a part number?
Yeah, get object with a query parameter, like you have said. The part number equal to 1, 2, 3 depends on how many parts has been.
Do you think it's documented in the APIs?
Yeah, it's a document in Amazon API. Yeah.
Maybe it's worth, first of all, just adding like a link to that
Okay.
Because I don't think, first of all, we didn't implement that in general, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right. So it's I look at it. It's not too hard to support. You know, it pretty
no,
new.
it's
Yeah,
pretty easy to support, but we
yeah,
just
yeah,
didn't even
yeah.
know that exists.
Yeah, and it should be a pretty new, option because when I work on S3 related stuff like 3 years ago, there was not there. So I'm pretty sure probably this is a fairly new uh, option.
Right.
Yeah, I will add link to there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, that's good. Okay.
So
Cool.
that's about this PR. Just scenarios, in get object.
Okay. Great. So that's part number and the preconditions. Okay.
Yeah, the preconditions
Okay.
everybody probably already familiar with that. So yeah, I will not say much about those.
Again, you said that in the preconditions, you want us to notice that more closely, or what do you mean?
I would say you guys probably already familiar with what a precondition means. So I've just
Oh,
uh,
yes, yes,
so,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Right. So we need to just verify, like take a look at the code and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, so for part number, so we completely bypass cache and proxy the request to hub. So that will be
mhm.
from functionality perspective, that's much simpler. Then
Right.
the condition headers, we handle that basically for precondition headers. We also check hub. Then if no, sorry, check with cache. If cache expires, our object is not there, we proxy to hub. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. Okay. So let's we'll go over that offline, but that's good. So we have a good overview of what we're trying to achieve here. So that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back. So then the other new PR is other support for S3 operations. Hey, Sanjeev, are you on?
Yeah. So
Okay.
this PR handles a number of S3 operations related to a cache-enabled bucket. If there is any versioning in any request, the request is rejected. It handles server-side copy cases when there is a cache hit or a cache miss. So essentially, it will delete the cached object if server-side copy succeeds and there is a local cached object with the same name within the same bucket. But if the server-side copy is done so the source bucket is different than the cached bucket, then the object is not deleted. So it just checks those situations. Then the same with multi-part uploads, that the source for multi-part upload is either coming from the same bucket or a different bucket, and whether it's a byte range or a complete part. And then the next one is list objects. It has a property either you can list from the cache or you can list from the hub. And the next one is there is a list object versions. And I changed it so it always defaults for a cached bucket. It always lists the latest version. Next one is that if there are if you do a list multi-parts, it always proxies to the hub. Same with tagging. Tagging, if tag is applied on hub, then it's also applied on a cache bucket. If tagging is not successful on the hub, then it doesn't apply the tag on the cache bucket. And the last one is that we started to store the last modified time for the cached object as a new property in the database. So when you get an object from the cache, the last modified time is the last modified time from the hub and not the one that was created for the cached object. So this impacts how, like if you do a list objects, then also we update the last modified time of the listed objects. and I added
that's
some.
interesting. Do you think it's necessary for us to do that? I mean, what is the motivation to do that on list specifically? I mean, it's an interesting opportunity because we have the information, but on the other hand, the question is maybe if we want the overhead, or are we submitting this as well?
Well, if you do a get object, then you get the last modified time from the hub. So I thought if we are doing a just listing for objects, then we should also show the same time.
Oh, no. Oh, you mean what do we show as, what do we return as a response?
Yes.
Right. Oh, so you're saying this. You're saying if we list the objects from the hub, and after that get an object, we might, if we don't update, we might see an older time, right? That's your...
Right. So if you list an object from the hub, it's the last.
I don't think it really can happen, because if the modified time changes, also we will invalidate. Oh, you mean if we are in the window of validation, right? So it's valid for some more.
This is if you do a list objects and we are listing from the cache only. So there is a property get from cache for listing objects.
Yep.
Then it shows the hub/modified time, similar to if you get an object and we get the object from the cache instead of the hub. Either the object is valid in the cache, or we use this property to get the object from the cache. Then we want to show the last modified time from the hub and not the time when the cached object was created.
Right. So that I understand, but I thought, so I think maybe I mixed up. I thought you were saying this. I thought you were saying that when we receive a list object operation and we forward that operation to the hub, right?
Right.
And then we get a list back, we can essentially now take this information, which contains the list of objects and last modified times, and check, maybe we need to update some of these objects because we have like an opportunity where this information is already present in our memory, right? And we don't want to lose that, maybe. But then I think it's great. Just need to make sure we throttle that, just like we did with the cache writes. I think just that if we have too many of these on flight, we probably want to stop doing that, because it's not. I don't think it's really a mandatory thing as well to push. So we just don't want to be swamped with these operations when we are trying to serve maybe something very important.
Yeah, I think this will be triggered only if you do a list object and you specify in the request that lists these objects from the cache itself.
But so again, why is that related to listing that? If we list from hub, which is the normal listing,
right, then nothing happens. It just lists from the hub, and
it doesn't update last modified time for these objects.
Yeah, it just returns the time from the hub.
So what happens? So maybe that was what I understood you said, and you didn't. So what happens if me as a client says list objects? I get a list of objects, right? And then I go and get one of the objects, like the first one, and I check and I see a last modified time different, right? And I suppose this can happen for list always, because list is eventually consistent for updates. So that's basically okay.
That could happen.
Yeah. So I thought you were trying to prevent this case.
Yeah. No, I didn't even think of this case. Okay.
Okay. So maybe I mean, it's the same mechanism, right? We can choose if this case. I mean, the normal list objects is also a good case where we want to update, and how much to limit this overhead, right? We don't want to do that too much, probably. Okay. That's good. Okay, so we have these two PRs. Let me just put them in the doc for a second, and
There are also another one is called support delete procedure, multi-delete procedure.
Yep.
That's just a very simple one. Hopefully, yeah, that should be a simple one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that you opened that earlier today, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a short one, you're saying.
Yeah, that's really short one.
Yeah. It's so that's basically right here. Yeah. Okay, so this one is pretty easy because I think I don't think we have Jenya on this call today, but Jenya can easily verify this one.
Okay.
So oops, yeah, that's Jenya. I think I requested him for review.
Cool.
Okay, that's good. I'll take that to the doc as well. So we have this one is, I think, share this tab. So this one is closed. So Sanjeev, I think, by the way, if it doesn't make sense, then no. But you know, if you see, I mean, if you have a PR for that, you can keep it open and just update it. It's convenient also for tracking and working and collaborating somewhere. But I mean, I understand if it becomes too, you know, different than what you wanted to achieve as a goal, maybe you can close it. But if it's just updating the code or the text of the PR, you can certainly just update.
Okay.
Any let me see. So we have these, I think, almost 4 PRs, and the biggest one is the garbage tier, which we want to cover on Wednesday, and probably get with some comments before that. So can you prepare that PR a little bit for that review?
I can prepare it by Wednesday, or do you want it tomorrow?
No. I mean, it doesn't matter. The squashing is less of an issue, I think, but maybe just rebasing would be good.
I haven't made the changes you suggested. That's why I just wasn't looking at it.
Oh, I see. So you're saying
but
that there's
I
pending
have
review comments here.
Yeah. I was looking at the tier TTF code, and if you have time, either I can ask you here, or I'll just send you a Slack message after this call.
Sure. First of all, you can use the time now if that's
okay. Yeah.
if you
if
prefer.
you have time, then we can go through it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's short.
Let's do that. So you want to ask to?
Yeah, I can do it now if you want.
I think so. I think let's use the time for that so that you can get some, you know, progress
Okay.
and not get stuck until next call, right?
Okay. Is it possible for you to bring the tier TTF code?
Yes, 1 second. Specifically from your branch, or?
No, not from my branch, just from Aster.
Yeah, that's it. Hope you can
Okay,
see well enough.
Yeah. So I was looking at, like, I think if you scroll down, need rebuilding this block here, where rebuild need to move chunks. So
Yeah.
The definition here. So there is this block of code where it goes through each of the buckets, and there is some logic on making a guess on how much space is left and whether it needs to do a rebuilding.
Yeah.
And it's only doing for tiering. So one option can be I can add my code here that, you know, after it goes through all the buckets, if it finds any bucket with the cache enabled property, it just follows the same logic. And instead of calling chunks to rebuild and using this limit, it just gets that like a set limit of chunks and tries to evict them for each bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So all the code I had in the, I think it was the map builder, I can essentially move it here.
So first of
And
all, right, you need to affect somehow this choice
Yeah.
of buckets, right? That's the first step.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
So I
get
have to
multi-tier
go-
buckets and then get like other like get namespace buckets, right? Namespace
Correct.
cache buckets, right? And then you
Yeah.
have like these two sets together, or you can await
Right.
and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one. And then when you are actually making these checks, then I think that the multi-tier was sort of a gate stopper for assuming that there is always a second tier, but
Right.
it was always the case that you might have need to evacuate, like to evict from the last tier here as well.
Right.
So there's always this case probably where you throw something here saying I don't have anything to evict or anything to move.
So if it's cleaner, I can just add a new function here, which does all this tiering movement, and then it goes through all the buckets again and tries to evict from the cache enabled buckets. Instead of just adding it here and making this code more convoluted, I can just add one more function. So whenever the thread wakes up, it just does this, and then it goes and evicts all the cache enabled buckets.
But so again, it's in this we.
Oh yeah.
So this flow basically goes to the
Right.
build chunks API, and then
Right.
if we have, I think the notion that needs to be here is that we might want to go through with this, right? In our case,
Right.
with a
Okay.
non-next tier case, because
Right.
in
Right.
normal case we don't have it. We just say, okay, so I can't do anything. Sorry, I'm done.
Right.
In our case, we're evicting. So you want to edit this flow, but
Right.
then you want to go through and call the scrubber build chunks API, and then handle the case where you're evicting.
Correct.
Is that good? Is
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So
okay.
the other thing I was looking at is I need to find the code. I think it was in map. So I don't need to. Actually, I forgot where the mapper maybe. Let me try to.
Only check in the PR.
No, in the code where it finds out checks for if there is enough space in the tier, which file it is.
Mm-hmm.
Map
so
server.
yeah, one of probably map server. Map. Okay. So enough.
It's right here. So do I actually have to make changes here? Because if there is no space and it reaches the end of the tier, it seems like this code retries a number of times and then just starts dropping, right? So in our case, it will just start dropping the the chunks for caching for a specific set of time. And during that time, the TRTTF worker is running, and eventually it will start cleaning out. So do we need to signal anything from here, or we can just keep this code untouched?
I think you're right. I think so. Unless, I mean, as far as the naked eye can see, we need to just make sure that how this maybe code behaves in our case.
Yeah.
Make sure that what happens in this flow, does it just behave normally in the sense that it retries in some way that seems normal to the to somebody who's tracing it. I say
Okay.
But then from the aspect of what it needs to do, not right, we basically just want to drop the cache if it's trying too much, right? That's what we're saying.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. Yeah, it looks pretty simple in this area. now.
Okay, yeah, I'll work on those changes because I think I just need to fix my pull request and move the changes to TRTTF instead of what I'm doing here.
Right. So I think the TDF, I think there's very little there, right? It's mostly about the conditions to go into the scrubber for that, right? But then it's not much. Still, the cleanup pieces are inside there, and like map builder is where we're actually doing the cleanups, and that's the meat of that.
Yeah.
So that, but that's good. I think if we push this one, I think this PR would be the big change for how this is, the status of the project. I think that's what keeping it from being sort of operational, right?
Yeah.
So so great. So as much as you can push it, we will help out to push that as well. So that's the best we can do at this point. If you want us to help more or less, just communicate, right? So
Yeah, I think I'll have a pull request ready by tomorrow.
great. So we can do something about it on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Don't want to take more time, so it's a short sync. We'll continue on Wednesday.
I have a question, Guido.
Yeah.
About the testing side. Do you
Yep.
guys have any like a test plan or something in place?
Well, you mean specifically for the feature set of cache?
No, I'm talking about as a whole.
As a whole, yes. There's right. So there's a bunch of first of all, test plans for different configurations, I would say. And as this is expanding, you'd see some configurations covered completely, while some others are sort of punched through. So there's like because there's different aspects of testing it. There's different platforms versus different backing stores versus different. So there's a matrix of everything here, right? That's where it is. And as Red Hat is testing OCS, it creates it broadens this matrix of tests all the time.
Okay.
Was that what you meant?
Yeah, I was wondering if there was some time we can spend a little bit to, if our side also take a look at them also.
Yeah. First of all, you can check. You should check with Nimrod and Liran. I can ping you with them so that you can see who to ask, and they can guide you through the things that they can show you with what's this process of testing downstream testing looks like and what they are planning for it, right?
Okay, that would be
right. And on the other hand, yeah, sorry, I'm delaying with you and mixing, but I just want to add something that on the other hand, I do think that upstream testing is important, and we're trying to get some more resources to run functional tests in upstream. I think we talked about it last meeting as well. We just touched on that, and it would be great to do that. But for now, we're running on Travis CI. It's not really great for running long tests, so we focus on the 20 minutes or so test time. I think that's where we are, 10 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
CI time, yeah.
All right. I just want to have this conversation also started so we can start looking into it a little bit from our end as well. Yeah. Okay. So we can
Sure.
give some input from our end as well.
Sure. So let's hook up and talk about it.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you soon.